Hello, Angela.
Hi.
I can see that attendees are still joining us. So I will be waiting for a few more seconds just to have all of them here with us, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Good evening, everyone. On behalf of Vancouver Community College and MSM, I would like to welcome you all to the MSM VCC Virtual Student Orientation Live Series for 2020. I'm Karishma Chaudhary, VCC Team Lead for Amsterdam Media. First of all, I would like to congratulate to you all for making a wonderful decision to choose VCC. Well, choosing the right college in Canada is a very big decision and an important investment in students' future. Vancouver Community College has been providing high quality programs to Canadian and international students for 50 years. VCC's highly qualified faculty and dedicated team of support staff are committed to helping international students achieve their their educational and the career goals. For 50 years, VCC has played a key role in helping industry meet its needs for highly skilled employees. Our graduates placement rate is among the highest in the province. The catalyst to your potential is something students says about VCC. VCC, together with MSM, is happy to have you all here for an hour of ultimate knowledge-oriented session. I would like to emphasize today's webinar is going to be very interesting, so keep connecting throughout the webinar so that you don't miss anything. Well, before we get to the exciting part, I would like to let you know that if you are having any question related to VCC, then please don't hesitate to drop it in the Q&A section in your control panel. And if you are having any technical question, then please drop it into the chat box. I know everyone is very curious and interested to learn more about VCC. So without any further ado, I would like to introduce Ms. Angela Ling, Manager, International Marketing and Recruitment at VCC. Angela, over to you.
Thank you very much, Karishma, for the warm introduction. And yes, thank you everybody for attending this session today or this evening. So before we begin, I'd like everyone to take a chance to take a poll. The questions that I am really curious to find out is, how did you learn about VCC in the first place? So really, when you first hear about VCC, was it through online search? Was it from an alumni? Was it from a friend or family? From an agent? From an ad that you saw maybe in the store or on the bus or online? Or was it from social media? Okay, so now you can probably see the poll question show up on your screen. So just choose one. Which channel did you hear about VCC for the first time? Now you might have heard it from your agent later, but when did you first hear about it? I'll give you an example. I first heard about VCC from my mom because she wanted to take a course at VCC about 20 years ago. So that's when I first hear about VCC. But where did you hear about VCC in the first place? So we'll give it another maybe 5 to 10 seconds for you to vote. I see that the voting continues. Remember, just choose one option. Okay. We still have people voting, so we'll give it another. Okay, great. So I see that the majority of you first hear about VCC from an agent. Some of you heard about VCC from a friend or family and from online search. So thank you very much for sharing your experience with us. We'll continue to the next slide. Okay, so we're about to get started. So as Karishma said, thank you very much for choosing VCC. And it is going to be one of your best decisions that you have ever made in your life. What I'm going to talk about today is really to prepare you to come to VCC or to come to Vancouver. I know a lot of you have questions about COVID-19, what's happening in Canada, what's happening in Vancouver, what's happening at VCC. So I will give you a little bit more updates about that. I'll give you information about traveling to Canada, living in Vancouver, how our student lives how do they look like at VCC, and also what kind of support services will be available. At the very end, we'll also have a Q&A section where your questions will be answered. Okay, so about COVID-19, depending on where you are in the world and depending on where you are in India, the situations may be a little bit different. It's the same in Canada. In Vancouver, we are located in the province of British Columbia, or BC. So the province of BC, unlike some other provinces in Canada, we're recovering a little bit faster. We are also having a very good method and very good regulation to help residents of our province stay safe and healthy. So if you look at the numbers of the Canadian confirmed cases, not that many, but especially in BC, we don't have a lot of confirmed cases. We have maybe, I think, 2,000-ish for the country. And the majority of the confirmed cases have recovered. There's still some who may be in the hospital or at home with some symptoms, but the majority of them have recovered. And the number of new cases every day in our province is very few. So I think we are getting back to normal, but the province wants to be very cautious and very careful. So we have a plan to reopen BC in different phases. First of all, we're opening restaurants, we're opening shopping malls, we're opening dental offices for very essential services. And then later, the different parts of BC or different organizations that will be open. So we are very careful. Even though we're doing pretty well, we want to make sure that everybody's safe. So that's the situation in BC. And it's the same in Vancouver. A lot of people are very cautious. Wherever you go, you actually see signs on the floor, on the ground, saying that you must keep social distancing. So everyone really knows the importance of keeping themselves safe. IRCC, Immigration, Refugees and Citizenship Canada, which also is the Canadian Immigration Department from the government, they recognize the need for international students to continue studying, or for anybody to continue studying during this pandemic. So they have announced not long ago that international students post-graduation work permit eligibility, in other words, the ability for students to get a 3-year work permit, will not be impacted if students are learning online from Canada or from their home country during the pandemic, because schools cannot open for everybody to come. So you can see that the Canadian government and the government of British Columbia are doing everything they can to make sure that lives of our citizens, of international students, are not impacted as much. So what about at VCC? What is VCC doing to make sure that students are safe and instructors and staff are also safe? So for classes in fall 2020, anybody who is starting their first term will be studying online. The majority of the programs anyway. Some programs, for example, fashion, and some university science courses, students will have to come back to campus, not every day, but maybe once every 2 weeks, to do some lab component. So the majority of the students, I think everybody in our attendees today, will be studying online. Even if situations become better and we're reopening for everybody, we will continue the online study until term 2. The campus is now gradually open. We are allowing some students to return to campus, but those students will not be the first term students. They will be students who have already started their studies this year or even last year. They're in their term 2 or term 3 or 4. They may have to come back for different parts of the experiential or more hands-on training. So they are allowed to come back to campus, but we have, again, very safe measures to make sure that we don't have a lot of students in the same classroom. Students and students have to have enough distance among one another. So yes, we are continuing to offer classes. Students are allowed to come back to campus, but not for the fall 2020 new students. So for all of you, you will be expected to study online until further notice. Hopefully things will get better in January when everybody will be coming back. But again, that's COVID-19, so we don't know yet, but that's the best case scenario. So what is happening on campus and what is our operation affected? How is it affected? We are continuing to offer the majority of our services. Any services that you will access will be offered online or by phone or email. If you just want to pick up the phone and call us, we are available during office hours in Canada. Just email us, we'll respond to you, or you can set up an online one-on-one meeting or a group meeting with our service areas. So that is still happening. There's no change to the operations. And the college is also making every possible step to make sure that the safety of our students and instructors and staff are the most important. So we don't want to do anything unsafe. We want to make sure that students are in a great learning environment where students are safe, instructors are safe, the people that provide the services to you are safe. So a lot of measures in place. Additional student support provided during COVID-19 include international student advisors providing case management. So what does that mean? We have 4 international student advisors who will be able to answer the majority of your questions about tips and resources about studying online, tips and resources about studying in Canada, how to get around campus. A lot of questions that you might have, they can answer. They are given portfolios. So for example, you are in the business and project management program where you will have one international student advisor providing you with additional support. So they will make an appointment with you. They will call you either once a week or once every other week, or maybe once a month, depending on how often you like to receive phone calls. They will call you, they will check up with you. They will ask you, hey, Deepak, how are you doing? How are you studying online? Do you have any questions? Do you have any concerns? Is there anything we can help you with? So it's additional support due to COVID-19. Because if you were not studying online, if you were in Canada, you can just go to our office to talk to anybody. But because of COVID-19, it's not possible. We want to make sure we can still reach you. We also have a program called International Mentor Volunteers. So these volunteers are students, international students who are already in the programs, who are already in Canada, or who are currently studying online. They can give you a little bit more tips and information about how they manage their online studies. They can be from the same programs, they can be from India as well, or they can be from a different country. They will give you a lot of support and information from a student's perspective. So you're getting support from VCC staff, you're getting support from instructors, you're getting support from other students. We are doing this to make sure that you don't feel that you're left out, because online learning is a very different kind of learning. It's new. It's new for some people. We also have a lot of VCC service areas continuing to offer support. The Learning Center and Library, for example, they have a lot of regular online workshops. A workshop about time management. How do you manage your time when studying, regardless of online or in person? You need to know how to properly manage your time to manage different projects that are going on in your life. So they offer a lot of support too. And what about financial aid? Financial aid is available only for VCC students. So once you begin your studies, there will be a lot of scholarships and awards available for students who are qualified. You may have maintained pretty good grades. You may have a lot of achievements that you can show and demonstrate your leadership skills, for example. Or we also offer bursaries. Bursaries, again, are for students who already started at VCC. We have bursaries just for COVID-19. students can demonstrate that there is a need for them to apply to the bursaries. So international students have been getting all these. And it is also something that we want to make sure that students can access. If you want more information about how VCC is handling our operations and supporting our students during COVID-19, we have a page on our website. It's called VCC COVID-19 Info and Updates page. And I included the link here, vcc.ca/COVID-19. So you can get more information about how we handle the pandemic, how we make sure students are safe. So during COVID-19, a lot of things are different. These slides are new because we didn't have COVID-19 before. Now that we do, we are moving all of our courses online. And in order for our students to be successful, and in order for our students to have confidence in VCC, I prepare these points so that you can see why learning online at VCC is a pretty good option. So first of all, we have in-house expertise at VCC about online learning. We have been teaching online for maybe 20, 30, 40 years, for a really long time. We're not just starting to teach online right now. We have a lot of programs and courses that are offered online. You don't have access to because you can't really get study permit before, but those courses have been offered online before. So we have instructors who are professionals in online teaching. We even have expertise in online teaching that we're teaching other schools. If there's an article on the newspaper about it, we're teaching other schools and their teachers how to teach online. So imagine how our students are able to benefit from that, because our teachers have online teaching experiences. Even if they don't, we have a lot of support in VCC, especially our Center for Teaching, Learning, and Research department. They provide a lot of support for teachers who may not have a lot of online teaching experiences, so that the instructors will be able to learn best practices and then really support their students. So you don't have to worry about, is VCC experienced in teaching online? Yes, we are very experienced. And again, for you, when you're studying online, you may want tutors. You may want people to help you with your assignments. You may have some questions about the mathematics equations. So we also offer free tutoring services for VCC students. You don't have to pay for tutoring. There will be a one-on-one tutoring session where you can book online. Library materials will be online. You can book an appointment with a counselor to talk about issues, or if you're feeling a little bit stressed, what are some of the tips that can help you, and career guidance. If you are thinking about exploring careers in Canada, what kind of options do you have? So you can book an appointment with a counselor online. They will be able to see you face-to-face and provide you with a lot of support. Microsoft Office suites. I don't have it, so I know how important it is, especially when you have to write an essay or an assignment. A lot of students are expected to use Microsoft Office. So once you are a VCC student, when you log into your online learning module, you will be able to have free access to Microsoft Office suites, including Word, including Excel, PowerPoint, Access, and a lot of different applications that you can use. There is also online lesson about how to use these applications. So that's one thing that we offer to our students. Even if you're learning in class, you'll still have access to those. VCC's classes are also fairly small, anywhere between 16 and 25. The average class size is 21. Some classes are smaller, some classes are a little bit bigger, but it is still a small class. So it's a little bit easier when we're teaching online. We're not teaching hundreds of students together. We're teaching 25 maximum at a time. So it's a little bit easier to communicate during the online classes. And again, our international student services and supports include academic course planning. We also have online orientation that I'll talk a little bit about later. We also have a lot of tips and resources about studying in Canada and living in Canada that is offered online. So you might be wondering, so how does online learning work? it's just like you're at this session, you're listening to what I'm saying. So this will be very similar. You'll be listening to what the instructors are saying, but that will not be the only thing that you're doing. There will be live demonstrations. Instructors in some more practical programs will show you exactly how things are done. So you just have an idea of how things are done in the program. We have synchronous learning versus asynchronous. So the difference is synchronous means that everybody gathers around at a scheduled time, like right now. It's a live instruction. Asynchronous just means that there will be recordings available, which you can access later in case you miss a class or in case you want to go back to the session to get a little bit more understanding about the materials. We have audio and video conferencing available. We have breakout rooms. So breakout rooms means that we have a class of 20 students. We want 5 groups to have small group discussions. Then you can have that. So we'll have you in different rooms so that when you're talking, the other groups won't be able to hear what you're saying. And then at the end, you may have representatives from each group to talk about what your discussions are. And group discussion is very common in Canadian classrooms. So rather than doing it in person, we'll just have a small group discussion online. You'll also be writing some tests online, and there will be assignments that will be done online and offline. You'll access e-textbooks. You will also access Moodle, which is our open learning source, which a lot of materials will be uploaded by the instructors. So you can just download them. We also have a lot of tools and different materials available online. And your instructors, because every course may be a little bit different. A math course versus a management course will need different things. So your instructors will email you more details about what will be needed or what online learning will look like before classes begin. And they'll probably do that, I'm not sure exactly when, but a few days or a week before classes begin so that you have the link to be able to go to the classes. Our students have been sharing how online learning looks like on social media. And I'll give you the links a little bit later, but if you haven't already done that, please follow us on social media so you can get a little bit more idea of pictures and videos and how students are learning online who are already studying at BCC. Okay, so I gave you information about COVID-19 situations in Vancouver, in BC, in Canada, at VCC, how we're handling COVID-19 and making sure our students are safe. We talked about online learning. We talked about expertise at VCC to deliver online instruction. Now, I know you have some questions about COVID-19, related to COVID-19. So I created a list of commonly asked questions, which I will go over. So in case any of your questions are about these, they will be covered. So first of all, is it safe to study in Canada now during the pandemic? If you are already in Canada, you'll know it's quite safe, especially in Vancouver. I can't speak for the entire country, but definitely in Vancouver, it's quite safe. For example, I went to a shopping mall, to a food court. I was going to eat at a food court, and I saw police officers walking around to make sure that everybody is keeping a safe distance. They go into stores to make sure that people are lining up to pay. If they are not, if the supermarkets are not having clear instructions and directions of how people should line up with safe distances, they get fined. They have to pay penalty. So it is actually pretty safe. It is mandatory for anybody traveling from outside of Canada to quarantine. So we're trying everything we can to make sure we're safe. So yes, it is quite safe in Canada, in Vancouver anyway, to study right now. And second question, if I don't want to study online, can I defer my admission to a later start date? If you feel that, you know what, online study may not be something that you can handle, you want to defer it, there's an option to do that. There's no fee required for you to defer. But let's look at number 3. If I defer my admission, when is the next intake? We have quite a lot of students who may be impacted by COVID-19 financially or for some other reason, so they are delaying their studies. many of them are hoping to start in January, but we only have limited number of seats. So there's no guarantee that we can have you start right at the next intake. So yes, deferral is possible. There's no additional cost to it, but there is no guarantee that you will be able to start in January. It may be May of next year when things are getting so much better, but there's no guarantee for a January start. So as much as possible, we really want to ensure students that online learning is a good option. It's a really new way to study. And instructors are telling us that student participation is so much higher when they're doing online learning. They don't skip classes anymore. They are on time every time. So it's a new way of learning, and we do have a lot of support to make sure that our students have a good online learning experience. So if you defer your admission, we don't know when the next intake is, we're trying everything we can to make sure that deferred students have a January start date, but it may not be available for everybody. Number 4, if you request a deferral now, say you don't want to start in September, and then you change your mind later, say you want to come back to September, is it okay? If we have space, yes. If we don't have space anymore, then unfortunately, if we already defer you, you can't start in September. So please, 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 do not defer if you are not sure. Only defer if you are very much sure that you don't want to study online. Number 5, can I study online in fall 2020 if I don't have my study permit or visa approval? So this is a question from IRCC. We have just checked with them last week to say, is that even possible? They say no. If you want to still apply for your post-graduation work permit, then you must have study permit approval before your classes begin. So if, for example, you really don't have your study permit approval by, September, then of course there's no other option but to defer. But as much as possible, I know that visa processing centers are working on the visa applications right now, so there's a pretty good chance. So please stick around, don't defer if it's not necessary. Number 6, if I have a study permit or student visa approval, can I travel to Canada now? I will talk a little bit about it, but we don't recommend you to travel to Canada because it is not essential travel. If the classes are offered online and then you feel that, you know what, I want to study online in Canada and not in India, then the Border Services Agency may reject the entry, which I'll talk about a little bit later. So we don't recommend students to travel to Canada right now until the travel restrictions have been completely lifted. Number 7, when will classes be offered in person? That is a question for God, not for me. I really don't know because COVID-19 situation can change. If COVID-19 situations are continuing to be the way it is right now in Canada, we should be opening soon because things are looking pretty good. But again, I don't know if there will be any change to COVID-19. Hopefully in January, everybody will be able to come back. But we do already have students coming back to September in their term 2, 3, and 4. Number 8, will winter 2021 be offered online? The same question as number 7. That's our hope. We really hope that, and we think it might be possible. But again, if COVID-19 worsens, then that is something that we can't really guarantee, but that's the hope. So I want to remind you 2 things. First of all, cost of living is going to increase every year because of inflation. That's just the economic rule. Education, tuitions are increasing every year by a little bit. So if you're delaying your studies, chances are you're just going to pay a little bit more. So as much as possible, we really want to encourage you to study online. Our students have been successful. They can share a lot of successful stories with you. They've been doing that on social media. So please stick with your plan. And because the economies of a lot of countries are impacted right now, more people are fighting for jobs because some jobs may be lost during the pandemic. So it is actually a better time to study right now because once the economy becomes better, once the pandemic is over, and during this time you're studying, you will be a lot more educated, you will be a lot more prepared to be able to go into the labor force, to be able to start your career. So usually when the economy is not so good, a lot of people go back to school for the same reason, because there may not be a lot of good paying jobs out there, but in Canada, we're still having a lot of jobs available, which I'll talk about later too. So that's my COVID-19 updates. You might have some other questions about COVID-19. Please drop them in the Q&A section, which we can cover a little bit later. Okay, so it's time for poll number 2. We are sending out emails to students, usually once a month when they already start with VCC. So once they are current students at VCC, we send them monthly email updates about what's happening on campus, what resources may be available, what's fun to do. But we haven't really been doing that with admitted students yet. We are going to send you something fairly soon, actually today. But we were wondering, how often would you like to receive email updates from VCC? Do you want twice a week, like every other few days? Do you want to receive an email update just once every week, or 2 times a month, once a month, or only once in a few months? So Dolly will be sharing the polls with our students, so you can click on the polls. Okay. So we'll give you maybe 10 more seconds to answer, to let us know how often you like to receive email updates from us. Sometimes, if it's too often, you get really annoyed. Sometimes if it's not often enough, you get anxious. So what is the good balance? We want to be able to reach out to our students to provide them information, but to an extent that they feel comfortable. We don't want to overload them with information, but we don't want to under supply the information to them. Okay, we'll wait 5 more seconds and then we'll end the poll. Okay, it looks like the majority of you would like to receive email updates once a week. Some of you like to receive twice a week, some of you just twice a month. But I think once a week is what the majority of students want to receive updates. So this is really helpful for us. Then we can plan our communications more effectively. Thank you for providing the information. So the next category of my presentation will be about travel to Canada. It may be a little bit too early for you to plan for traveling because it's a little bit more uncertain at this point, but I want you to get prepared. So first of all, travel during COVID-19. First of all, only essential travel is allowed now. Even though the Canadian government allows anybody with a study permit to travel to Canada, but if classes are offered online, they see this as non-essential, meaning that it's not necessary for you to travel to Canada during this time, during the pandemic, when you could have studied online. So if classes are online, we don't really, traveling to Canada is not really something that we recommend. We actually discourage you to plan for your travel. Sometime in the future, the Canadian government will lift the travel restrictions to allow for non-essential travel, which means just come if you have the valid visa to come. Then, of course, we will send out an email to everybody so you will know that you can start booking your tickets. Right now, only essential travel is allowed. And even if you're traveling, because it's very important for you to be on campus to do some kind of a practical component of your program, then you must have no signs of symptoms before boarding the plane. And also there's some quarantine requirement. So our message to you is don't plan for travel to Canada until it's safe to do so, until it's the travel restrictions are lifted. Before you travel, please check this website, CBSA's website. CBSA is the Canadian Border Services Agent, the ones that you see at the airport. They are they're going to decide if you can enter Canada or not. So please check this website before you're planning anything, or please talk to us to check to see if it's safe or necessary for you to come to Canada during the first term. And arriving in Canada, this is a good website, regardless of COVID-19 or not. The travel-voyage website, the second one, it gives you information about what to expect. Who will you be seeing? What kind of forms you might need to fill out when you arrive in Canada. So once you're ready, once it's safe and there's no more travel restrictions to come to Canada, you can check this website to see what kind of documents you might need to prepare. During COVID-19, if you are coming to Canada, currently there is a 14-day self-quarantine plan, mandatory. So we don't encourage you to come, but if it's necessary for some reason for you to come to Canada, then please email us at ieservices@vcc.ca. Oh, sorry. ieservices@vcc.ca if you need more information about where to find housing to quarantine for the 14 days. Hopefully, by the time that you're traveling to Canada, there's no more quarantine requirement. But right now, if you have to, and there's a specific reason for that, then students are required to, anybody who's traveling from overseas are required to do that. Even for Canadian citizens, they have to have a quarantine plan in place because the Border Services Agency will be asking for those questions. And when you are ready to come to Canada, when everything is fine, please make sure to bring your official transcripts because we need to verify them. We will return them to you after verifying them in our system to make sure that those are the same documents that you have emailed us during your application. Of course, your passport, your visa approval, or study permit, and the offer letter. So make sure that you bring the important documents with you. Okay, what about living in Canada? So at some point you will be coming to Canada, even if it's not right away. Maybe it's during Christmas or sometime next year. What are some tips and resources that you can get to support your life in Canada? Canada is a huge country. We have a lot of different areas with very different culture, with very different customs. So you can check this website, canada.ca/services/culture, so you can learn a little bit more about Canada. We're not a very long country. We've been only about 154 years old. We are only over 150 years old. So not a very long country compared to maybe India, but we have a lot of great cultures, and that's something that you probably want to learn about. British Columbia, there's a really useful guide. It's called Newcomer's Guide that is prepared by the government of BC. It gives you a lot of information about different areas of British Columbia, including Vancouver. It gives you information about weather and different tips and resources about living in British Columbia as somebody who's coming from overseas for the first time. Vancouver, there's also a lot of information about the city of Vancouver. So if you go to this website, vancouver.ca/newscalendar/moving to Vancouver, and then click on areas of the city, then you can learn different parts of Vancouver. So Vancouver is a city that we are situated in, and there are different parts. We are located in downtown of our downtown campus, and we also have a Broadway campus, which is another part of Vancouver. So you can click on different areas, and then you can decide where in Vancouver you want to live in. If you want to live in the city of Vancouver, there are other areas within Vancouver that area that you can live in as well. About weather, so we talked about weather with some of our students. They seem to feel that the weather in Vancouver is one of the best in the world, and I agree because our weather is pretty mild. When it's really, really cold in the winter time, it's about 0 to 5 degrees Celsius. It's not really that cold, but that's our lowest temperature. The highest temperature is in the low 20s, like 22, 23 on average. In May, there were a couple of days that it was really hot. It was like 31 degrees, so hot. But today it's about 22, 23. So very mild, very comfortable. A lot of us just wear a thin jacket when you go outside. If you want to know a little bit more about weather, what to prepare, what kind of clothes that you should be bringing to Canada, you really don't need to bring a lot. But if you are thinking about what to bring to Canada, in terms of clothing, then you can go to this website, tourismvancouver.com/Vancouver/weather. What about jobs? So even during the pandemic, there's still a lot of jobs available, especially for the essential services. For example, restaurants, they even though they're not open to the public, there's still a lot of jobs available within restaurants. Supermarkets, delivering services, Walmart has a lot of jobs available. Amazon has a lot of jobs available. So there are still a lot of jobs available even during the pandemic. And the Canadian government, they had an initiative, and this is a particular initiative for the young people, anybody between ages 15 and 30. So we consider them young people. There are more than 70,000 jobs created just for the young people. And 70,000 may not seem a lot compared to Indian population, but it's quite a lot compared to the Canadian population because we don't have that many people. And after the pandemic, or even during the pandemic, you can go to workbc.ca to find job opportunities, and also jobbank.gc.ca. So these websites are both government websites. There are a lot more job searching engines on the website, but these two are more reliable. The sources are coming from the government. You can see so many different jobs available in Vancouver because we have a lot of services that we need to continue providing even during the pandemic. There are more jobs created for the pandemic because of social distancing. For example, security guards. We have students working in security companies as security guards who are letting people in the groceries one at a time because there's social distancing requirements. So lots and lots of jobs available. About transportation. So in BC, we have a system called TransLink. And that, sorry, not in BC, in Greater Vancouver area. That covers the public transit system in Vancouver, including bus, including SkyTrain, which is like subway, but above ground, C-Bus, and West Coast Express. So we have train system and bus systems. It's under TransLink. So you can click on that for more information. And why is this important? Because you may not live in Vancouver. You may want to live outside of Vancouver where rent can be a little bit cheaper, but it's still very easily accessible with transit. So there's a lot of areas where you can live. You don't have to be in Vancouver. You study in Vancouver, you can work in Vancouver, but you don't have to live in Vancouver. For example, I don't live in the city of Vancouver. I live in a city beside Vancouver. It takes me about 40 minutes to go to work. So it's not that bad. We also have a U-Pass system available for public college and university students in Greater Vancouver area. U-Pass stands for University Pass. And what does it do? It actually gives students subsidized or cheaper transit system. So for example, for me, I'm not studying. I'm not studying as a full-time student at a public institution, so I cannot buy U-Pass. So if I were to go to work, I have to pay 130 Canadian dollars every month. But for U-Pass students, they only pay about $40. So that's 3 times difference. So it's a cheaper rate because it's open to all public college and university students within the lower mainland of Vancouver. Accommodation. So there are different types of accommodations available. The main types are homestays versus rentals. So if you want to live with a homestay, it can be a little bit cheaper because they give you a room. They give you 2 meals per day. Lunch, you are on your own because you're usually going to school or going to work. But they give you breakfast and dinner. And there's a room available for you. You don't have to pay for washing your laundry or electricity or internet. It's all covered. They also provide airport pickup. And we work with Leanne's Homestay. Their website address is lvhomestay.com. So Leanne's Vancouver Homestay has a lot of homestay options. I think the rates are pretty reasonable. I did some comparison. The rates are fairly reasonable. Or if you want the freedom, you don't want to live with a family, of a Canadian family, to practice your English or to make Canadian friends. If you don't like that, that's fine. A lot of our students rent a room or rent an apartment or somewhere so that they can live in Vancouver. So our VCC website, there are more options available. So you can just click on this link, which Karishma will share with you later. And click on this link to get more information about accommodation options. So we've taken care of your traveling, we've taken care of your transportation, accommodation. What about medical insurance? So medical insurance is in Canada is different by province. Canada, again, is a very large country. Each province administers its own healthcare. The healthcare in BC is very good. You are covered for almost everything, except for prescription drugs, which you're covered by VCC. So there is a really good coverage. You don't need to pay for anything when you go to see a doctor. If you do an x-ray, you don't need to pay for anything. So usually a lot of it is covered. We have a universal healthcare that students will just have to pay a certain amount of money every month, and then they get covered. But in order to come into our BC medical service plan to enjoy the healthcare, you have to wait 3 months because we don't want any newcomers to just go directly into the healthcare system. They have to prove that they have been living in our province for 3 months. So when you come to Vancouver, for the first 3 months, we will want you to buy temporary medical insurance. The temporary medical insurance is about the same price as the provincial one, but at least they will give you option to go to the doctor. You might have to pay first, but you get the money back. Where some doctors will allow you to don't have to pay, and then they'll just deduct it. So temporary medical insurance for the first 3 months, that is very important. And then after that, you can enjoy the BC medical insurance. Before you buy the temporary medical insurance with VCC or with any other insurance company, you will have to buy some travel insurance when you're traveling to Canada. What if something happens at the airport? What if something happens on the airplane? You want to have some insurance coverage. So these are the 3 types of insurances that we recommend students to get. Definitely travel insurance, you want to protect yourself. Temporary for the first 3 months when you arrive in BC at Vancouver, and the BC Medical Service. More information about this will be covered in orientation, and I'm just giving you some general information about it. Okay, regarding international student support for current students, meaning that you have already been admitted or you have already started your classes at VCC online, there are a lot of other information available on our website. So you go to vcc.ca/international, you click on current students, and you'll see a lot of resources for students who have been admitted, for current students, information about extending your study in Canada, for example, extending your study permit, information about working in Canada, information about services, so lots and lots of information available. We also have, like I mentioned earlier, international student advisors. So we have 4 advisors and 1 manager who will be offering a lot of online sessions to help our students. So every Tuesday and Thursday, if you want to have a more detailed discussion with them regarding whatever aspect of your study, you can, you don't have to book an appointment. You do have to email them, so they'll give you the link. Every Tuesday and Thursday at 2 p.m. PST. I understand it's not the perfect time, but if you want to book an individual appointment at this time, for example, or a little bit later, depending on your preferred time, you can book a one-on-one appointment. If you don't want to book a one-on-one appointment, if you want to just drop in, then this will be a good option. Every week they have 2 days when they are offering this kind of online advising session. So there will be more information that this team will give you. We have an online new student orientation session in August, and it will be at the end of August before your classes begin. There will be a lot more information about cultural shock because there is a different culture between Indian and Canadian. And even for the culture in Vancouver is different from the rest of the Canada because of the different people living there. So how do you manage your time of study? what other service areas are available. Counselors will actually come and do a brief introduction about their services during the orientation. So there will be more information provided to you just before you begin your studies so that you won't forget about them. And there will also be more support services. There will be a lot more individual discussions regarding how you can utilize some of our services during the online orientation. It is mandatory for you to attend. You will have to attend the new student orientation session because there are a lot of great resources and information and updates that you need to find out. So we will email you the online orientation schedule and the link so you can participate. Okay, and remember earlier I was saying that a lot of our students are sharing their online learning experiences, whether it's at home working on their projects or a screenshot of their online classes. They post a lot of their stories on social media. So we really want you to click on these social media accounts to follow us because you'll get a lot more details, a lot more examples of how fun our students are enjoying their online learning. We even have a Spotify music playlist that our students created. They gave us a list of songs that they like to listen. We created a VCC quarantine playlist, and it's also shared on social media. So Instagram at VCC International and Facebook groups /VCCIE. These will be available for you too, just to see how our students are doing. Okay, pool number 3. This is actually fairly fun. I don't know how much you know about Vancouver or Canada, so I'm doing a quick poll to see your understanding. Which of the following is not true? So only one of the 5 is incorrect. Everything else is correct. So tell me which one you think is not correct. Number 1, Vancouver is known as Hollywood North, which I'll talk about later. The current minimum wage in BC is $14.60 Canadian dollars. Average Vancouver summer temperature is in the low 20s Celsius degree. The Prime Minister of Canada is Justin Bieber. And number 5, Vancouver has the fastest technology job growth rate in North America. So tell me what you think. Which of the following is not true? Okay, we have, interesting. We'll give you another 10 seconds to answer. Which one do you think is not true? Remember, only one is not true. Everything else is true. Okay, I think we're almost ready. We have a very high voting rate this time. Okay, so the majority of you got this question right. Okay, all right. So the majority of you got this question right. So the wrong answer here is number 4. The Prime Minister of Canada is not Justin Bieber. Who is Justin Bieber? Justin Bieber is a singer. He is Canadian. He's from Eastern Canada. He is Canadian. He was born and raised in Canada, but he's a singer. He's not our Prime Minister. Our Prime Minister is also a very handsome man. His name is Justin Trudeau. Trudeau is his last name, not Bieber. So number 1, Vancouver is also known as Hollywood North. What does that mean? So Vancouver has been the hub for Hollywood movies and dramas and TV shows. A lot of TV and movie production companies come to Vancouver to film. There are a lot of movies. The first thing that came to mind was Deadpool. So you probably know about Deadpool. Deadpool, the actor, is also from Vancouver. He actually studied in Vancouver in high school. He was born and raised in Vancouver. Ryan Reynolds. Deadpool was filmed in Vancouver. I think the second one was filmed in Vancouver. Why is that? Because Vancouver has great weather. There are a lot of great benefits for companies from outside of Canada to come and invest. So we have a lot of great rebates and different tax cuts for those companies. So they are using Vancouver as the scenes of their TVs and movies. And it is also because Vancouver is so beautiful. We have mountains, we have oceans, so we have water and mountains. We have sceneries, we have city, we also have countryside. So it's just a very nice place. And because of that, there's so many jobs available. Students who are in our cosmetology diploma, for example, they're actually working for these Hollywood on sets, working on their makeup, working on their skincare, working on their hair. So there's a lot of jobs open just because of that. Some of our students are even acting as extras in some TV shows. So Vancouver is also known as Hollywood North. North meaning because US is south of Canada and Canada is north of USA. So Hollywood North, that's Vancouver. The current minimum wage in BC is $14.60. That is true. It is by law, it's illegal to pay anybody lower than that, except for some very specific industry. But minimum wage is $14.60. Next year in July or in June, it will be increased to $15 and something. Can't remember. But we have a gradual plan to increase minimum salaries and minimum wage because of inflation. So that is true. You are allowed to work 20 hours per week when you are in Vancouver, therefore making at least $14.60. It could be a little bit more than that. For example, Amazon was hiring people without experiences you can work. They're paying like $15.50. So that is just the absolute minimum wage. Average Vancouver summer weather, we talked about that. It's very comfortable. Number 5, Vancouver has the fastest tech job growth rate in North America. That is true from 2019. 2020 is too early to tell, but 2019, lots of tech companies, Amazon, Microsoft, eBay, many companies are setting up headquarters in Vancouver because of our great location, great weather, and there are a lot of great expertise in Vancouver. So they're setting up their headquarters here. Okay, so that concludes my presentation. I want to really, again, thank you for joining. I want to open the floors to questions, and I think Karishma is gathering the questions so that she can ask them, and then I'll be able to answer them. But I really want you to remember that even though during the pandemic, things may seem a little bit uncertain, there's no better time to study than right now, because remember, when the economy is down, it's always better to go back to school rather than fighting for jobs where so many people who are more qualified are trying to get. Try to prepare yourself, try to educate yourself, and build your resume so that you are at a more competitive edge to be able to compete 2 years later. When the economy is so much better and many more jobs with higher pay are available. Okay, so Karishma, please ask away. I'm happy to answer any questions that come up.
Thank you, Angela, first of all, for such a wonderful presentation. And I must mention that the information which is included here, definitely being very, informative and very beneficial for the students, who are going to join us very soon. So yeah, we will be taking questions from the audience now. And it's just a quick reminder, if you're having any question, please do not hesitate to put it Q&A section in your control panel. Right, so Angela, coming to our first question, it is about the deferment. So the student is asking, can he make the deferment request more than one time during this particular situation?
Usually, deferment for one time is free. The second deferral request, for example, if you are studying in September and you feel that for some reason you can't, you want to defer to January, then that is a free deferral. If after you defer to January, you want to defer again to May, then you will need to pay a reapplication fee of 145 Canadian dollars. That's our general rule. If it's during COVID-19, of course, we understand there may be a little bit more flexibility, but by the time that you're deferring to May and everything is contained at that time, if there's no reason to defer, but you want to defer, then there will be a reapplication fee needed for the second time. The first time, it's free of charge.
Okay. Thank you, Angela. Coming to our next question, it is about the duration of the semester. So what would be the duration for the first semester, which might be online, and what would be the break time between the semesters?
So it really depends on the program. Usually for the first term, it's between September and mid-December. So 3.5 months. So technically, a lot of you, if you're in a post-degree diploma in Canadian business management or business and project management, the post-degree diploma students and hospitality students and university transfer students and the majority of you will be having a break sometime in mid-December, mid to late December, 22nd, 23rd, until the end of the year. And then you'll come back again in January. So that's the break for the majority of you anyway.
Okay, thank you, Angela. Angela, although you have already covered this particular point in the presentation, but still I'm getting any questions about this. Do students need a study permit to begin the online classes? Not
They
study
will,
permit, but the approval letter. Yeah.
If you want to apply for post-graduation work permit, yes. If you So in other words, if you don't have a study permit, we cannot allow you to start. That's the government's policy. If you want to apply for post-graduation work permit, you don't want your post-graduation work permit eligibility to be impacted because there's a delay in your study permit and you want to study right away. So we will give you more information. We may extend the study permit or approval deadline from July 15 to a later date. Depending on what the government says, we'll give you more information in an email. But if you are planning to study online, even if you don't have a study permit, unfortunately, we won't be able to do that because that will impact your post-graduation work permit application. In other words, you may not be able to work for 3 years after you graduate, and we don't want that to happen. So no, you have to have a study permit approval, a study permit or a student visa approval letter before you begin.
Okay. And Angela, coming to the next question, it is about the online classes timings. So generally, what timings are there for, Indian students, and the classes are of how many hours and for how many days in a week?
So again, it is different by program. Some programs like the post-degree programs, for example, they are looking at where students are coming from in terms of their time zones. So they're hoping to set up a time when it's a little bit more friendly for students in their time zones. For example, I think the students who started in May from India were able to study sometime in the morning or in the evening, so not during their bedtime. The classes are usually 15 to 20 hours per week. Every day you're looking at maybe 4-5 hours for either 4 or 5 days of the week. So it really depends on the program. Every program is different. We will be registering students into their classes sometime in maybe August after we receive your study permit or student visa approval. Then you will be able to receive the schedules from your instructors sometime in August. They will try to make it a time that's possible for everybody. But if we have students coming from all over the world who may be in South America, who may be in Asia, who may be in Africa, then there's no option. They will have to have it during Vancouver 8 to 4 kind of time. And in that case, there will be recordings available.
Okay, thank you, Angela. Angela, there are a few programs which includes the practicum. A lot of programs are there, which we offer, like automotive service technology or electronic repair and technology diploma programs. So, what will be there in the for these particular programs? How students would be, take care and would be able to do the practicum? How the first semester will be?
So there have been a lot of changes, not change to the curriculum, but change to the delivery. So the curriculum, the number of courses, the content, and also the learning outcomes are the same, online or in person, but they are shifting or shuffling the courses around. Rather than having students have maybe morning theory-based classroom sections, plus an afternoon practical session, they will actually have the first term all theory-based or the majority of it is a little bit more theory with maybe case studies that are a little bit more practical. But any hands-on will happen in term 2, 3, and 4. So they have not made any changes to the learning outcome, which means you will still have a lot of practices in the lab or in the auto shop, but it will not happen in the first term. Because even if you're in classes, for the first month or two, a lot of our students are not able to be able to learn something more practical, because you need to learn safety. You need to learn what tools are used. You need to learn vocabulary or terminology before you can actually do anything practical anyway. So they're just shifting the schedules a little bit so that a more theory-based will be front-loaded. In other words, taught in the very beginning. And then when you come back to classes, there will be a little bit more hands-on component. Automotive, for example, we have our instructors showing students how to fix a particular part using a live demonstration in his garage. So you will still be able to see some action. They will share videos, they'll share a lot of information using online model, but in terms of you actually doing the work, it will be reserved for term 2, term 3, and term 4.
Okay, thank you, Angela. And Angela, there's a question regarding the hostel facilities. So do VCC have a hostel facilities?
Housing or hostel?
Housing, you can say here, we call it a hostel. So yeah, housing facilities.
Okay. We don't have a dormitory or student residence. We don't have it. And the reasons are one reason, because Vancouver, we're in downtown Vancouver. And usually in downtown Vancouver, housing can be a little bit pricey. The land is pretty expensive. So a lot of institutions, if they're in downtown, there are no residences. We don't have residences, but again, if you need housing, if you want to live in a homestay, we have a homestay provider that we work with. We will be able to support you find a Canadian family to live in. Otherwise, a lot of our students will or rent a place. And I know a lot of our Indian students, they will make friends during class or online or in person, and then they will become roommates. They will rent a place together, and then they'll share common facilities but have individual rooms. So I know that that's how a lot of our students find housing. They find roommates as their classmates, so they can go to school together, they can study together if you don't feel tired of them already. So that's one option. The other option is just for you to find rental on your own, which there are a lot of options available. But I usually recommend homestays for the first maybe year or half a year, because it will be a great Canadian experience for you to live with a Canadian family. But if you like your independence, if you want to be able to, enjoy your free life, and then of course rental is a good option. But we don't have a residence or a dormitory.
Right. Thank you, Angela. And it's really great that we are still getting questions from the students, but our time is limited and we may not be able to answer all the questions in this webinar. But there's nothing to worry about. You guys are having our, contact numbers, our email ID. So what we are going to do is we will be sharing the presentation with all of you after the webinar, and also we will be answering your queries through emails, or you can definitely call us. You are having our WhatsApp number, our calling number. So Angela, is there anything you would like to add on before we wrap up?
Just one more thing. Again, I know online learning is very it's kind of new. Even for me, online learning is quite new. But I feel that you will learn a lot more in terms of technology, how to utilize technology throughout the online learning. When you are ready to graduate from your program and go into the workforce, you will be able to learn something that other students who have not gone through online learning wouldn't. You'll know how to conduct a meeting online. You'll know how to run polls online. You'll know how to create Q&A sessions. So there is a lot of technology specific tools that you'll be able to learn when studying online. And it is the new way of learning. Even if we are all back to normal after COVID-19, I think online learning will likely continue, especially in terms of student support. So please do not be afraid of online learning. rest assured that we have a lot of support services to help you through this online learning experience. It's not difficult. Students who have started their programs in May 2020 have gone through this. They're doing fine. They're actually very happy about the online learning. So please do not be afraid of that. And again, COVID-19 will pass, but please do not give up on your dream. The dream to study in Canada will need to continue because you need to be more well-educated, well-prepared to enter the workplace when the economies are great again. So thank you very much. That's the last bit of my presentation. Like Karishma said, we are ready to answer any questions you may have. So please email us. And Karishma will share the links with you so that you will be able to click on them and then prepare for your arrival in Canada in the near future.
Thank you, Angela, and I completely agree with you about the facts you have put forward for the online learning. And I also would like to mention one thing here. Please stay connected with your email IDs, because sometimes we feel that we are sending you emails but you are actually not checking it. So it's a time when you should continuously check your emails. There will be a lot of important updates you will be getting till you join us in our campuses or maybe through the online platform. In the last, I would like to thank you all to participate in this exclusive MSM and VCC virtual student orientation. And we really appreciate you being here. We hope this session was helpful and informative enough for everyone. Until the next one, please take care, stay safe, and stay healthy. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Bye-bye.